Welcome back to my channel. This is regulatory platform where we discuss issues that affect insurance business in Nigeria and elsewhere, and we focus on regulation and supervision. In case you're joining us for the first time, my name is Dr. Sam Onyeka, and I welcome you to my channel. Please, I'd like you to subscribe to this channel, and I want you to remember to turn on your notification bell when you subscribe, so that when we upload new videos, you will know. Thank you once again for coming to my channel. Right. During the last episode, we discussed licensing of insurance business, and we focused on the Nigerian perspective, and we learned the requirements that must be met for an applicant to be licensed as an insurance company in Nigeria. Those requirements include that the applicant must be registered as a limited liability company, and the applicant meets certain minimum capital requirements, and then there is a comprehensive business plan that shows exactly what the applicant wants to do and how he wants to drive the business when the license is given. In case you are interested in that video, the link is supplied already at the description box. All right, so on this episode, we are discussing solvency. We are looking at solvency regulation. And in summary, I'm going to explain solvency and then apply it to insurance regulation. And we also identify basic guiding factors in establishing solvency rules. All right, let's begin with solvency meaning. A company is said to be solvent when the company is able to settle its long-term obligation and other obligations. So a company is insolvent when it's unable to settle its obligations. When applied to insurance business, an insurer is solvent when it's able to settle claims, genuine claims that are presented to it. And so an insurer that is unable to settle genuine claims that are presented to it is considered insolvent. And that means that solvency regulation is about rules and regulations that are made by the government and the regulator, as the case may be, to ensure that insurance companies continue to settle claims. That's basically what solvency regulation is about. But let me warn that solvency regulation's objective is not to make sure that insurance companies don't fail. This is because try as much as you may, some insurance companies will still fail. And so the essence or the objective of solvency regulation is to ensure that no insurer is allowed to fail carelessly. That is the essence. No insurer is allowed to fail carelessly. So what it means is that the rules are there for the regulator to be proactive, to take steps when it ought to, and to return any insurer that is in unhealthy financial position to healthy financial position. And if the regulator is unable to do that, or if the case of the insurer is so bad that it cannot be restored to a healthy financial situation, then such an insurer must be professionally liquidated to avoid unnecessary shocks on the financial system. I hope you understood that. All right. Now that we have known the meaning of solvency regulation and the objective of solvency regulation, if you like, we are now going to go into identifying some basic rules or basic considerations that affect the setting of rules relating to solvency regulation in the insurance sector. Now, I'm going to take them one after another. The first one there is capital adequacy. The regulator wants the insurer to have sufficient capital at every point in time to settle claims, sufficient capital to be in the business in the first place, and sufficient capital to settle claims. And so there are two levels of capital as far as an insurer is concerned, and these are minimum capital and solvency capital. The minimum capital is more or less a buffer. It is own fund. It is fund of shareholders. And so it is internal to the shareholders of the company. Now, the essence of insisting on a minimum capital as a requirement for registration of new insurers is to ensure that should a claim occur on the very first day of the business of the new entity, that the company will have the capacity to settle claim by drawing on the minimum capital, which is also expected to be replaced almost immediately to ensure continuity and availability of that fund. Right. Now, for solvency capital, we are looking at insurance funds. Now, the insurer has started business and is saving money and investing to be able to take care of claims that will arise subsequently. And so we're also interested in maintaining a certain minimum standard with respect to solvency. And so an insurer is said to be solvent when its admissible asset exceeds its admissible liability by a margin. So if the asset does not exceed liability by this margin, the company is not considered as solvent. Now, every jurisdiction prescribes its minimum capital and solvency capital depending on what approach they apply. And basically there are two approaches. One is prescriptive approach and the other one is risk-based approach. In Nigeria, for example, under the existing prescriptive legal regime, the minimum capital requirement is 3 billion naira for non-life or composite, as it is also known, and 2 billion naira for life, and then 10 billion naira for reinsurance. Now, for solvency, the minimum solvency or the solvency ratio in Nigeria, if you like, is 15% of the gross premium less the amount of reinsurance. And so, for an insurer to be solvent for the purposes of insurance regulation in Nigeria, for example, then it means that the admissible assets of the company must exceed its admissible liability by 15% of the gross premium less reinsurance. Now, some other jurisdictions have different approaches, but this is the approach we have today in Nigeria. It's important to mention that Nigeria is expecting a new legal framework early next year, and the new legal framework will be designed on a risk-based approach, and so new method of calculating solvency will emerge, and we'll discuss that when the law is out. All right, now we're going to leave capital adequacy for a moment, and we're going to go to reserve adequacy. Now, reserve adequacy means that the money that you are setting aside for settling of claim must be sufficient. It involves some mathematical or statistical calculations, but the regulator insists that such calculations should be as accurate as possible. Now, if there is possibility that what is reserved will not be adequate to settle claims, then reserving risk will have arisen, and the regulator wants to ensure that what is reserved will always be sufficient to settle claim. This is what we mean by reserve adequacy. The rules are there, and the operators are expected to apply the rules in calculating their reserve. And for insight, you may like to note that the reserve consists of reported but unsettled claim and incurred but not reported. So these are two elements of claim that come to insurer, and they apply some calculations to ensure that they have sufficient funds to take care of these claims, as well. All right, so the next important consideration there is a capital quality and diversification, or asset quality, if you like. Now, When you talk about quality of asset, you are looking at the level of investment risk attached to the asset. So where the level of investment risk attached to an asset is high, the quality of that asset is low. So the regulator also, in fixing solvency rules, ensures that the asset quality of the insurer is not such that carry high investment risk. It should be reasonably high in quality and low in investment risk. Now, apart from that, there is also need for diversification. So you are not expected to put your investments in one basket. So you look at different levels of investment, different investment vehicles, if you like. You may have to invest in bonds. You may have to have liquid cash in banks, bank balances, if you like. You may invest in property, but minimum. So the regulator is looking at the spread. Where have you put your investment, so that there is no embarrassment when there is a claim to settle. All right. Then we talk about liquidity. Liquidity here refers to market liquidity. We are looking at the ability of the insurer to liquidate investment without losing money, a lot of money from it. So when an insurer is unable to liquidate investment without incurring a lot of loss to it, there is no liquidity problem. But where the insurer, in liquidating an investment to be able to take care of a claim, is going to lose a lot of money, then there's a liquidity problem. And so in designing regulations for solvency, the insurer also take care of the issue of liquidity. And it's interesting to note that the IAIS is already working on new metrics for managing liquidity risk for insurers, and these new rules will be out next year. So it will be interesting to know the new elements or metrics that will influence capital liquidity management. All right, so the last one I want to talk about is reinsurance. Reinsurance has the capacity to support ceding companies to underwrite risk. So on their own, the ceding company will not be able to underwrite a whole lot of risk because they would there's a minimum level of exposure that is expected of the shareholders' funds. And so if they want to ensure more capacity, they need the support of reinsurers. And so the regulator is always interested in what level of insurance facilities are available to a company. When there is none or minimum level of capacity for reinsurance, the insurer will ask for more capital on the side of the regulator, will require more capital on the side of the insurer. But having a comprehensive, robust reinsurance treaty arrangement, the insured is able to save some money in terms of capital reserves. So I just want you to note this. I want to summarize by saying that solvency regulation is an important aspect of insurance regulation. And like I said, the objective is not to prevent insurance companies from failing, because they will always fail, but to ensure that no insurer is allowed to fail carelessly. I want you to know that. And then I have also discussed some of the considerations in fixing capital, fixing solvency regulation. And I do hope that you have taken something home from this episode. I want to thank you for being with us, and I look forward to welcoming you during our next episode. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. My name is Dr. Sam Onyeka. See you next time, and bye.